This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Riley Laychuk. Janet is away tonight. The Commonwealth had its first glimpse today of the new royal era. King Charles III was in London to begin his duties as tributes for the Queen continue to pour in. CBC's Thomas Dagg reports.
Arriving at their new home, Buckingham Palace, the King and Queen Consort were greeted like royalty. A crowd in mourning after Queen Elizabeth's passing, now embracing her son, who's been preparing for this moment his whole life.
We owe her the most heartfelt debt.
In his first speech as king, Charles paid tribute to his mother and announced that Prince William and Kate would inherit the titles Prince and Princess of Wales. As for his own future, the king hinted he won't be able to meddle in political matters as he has before.
My life will, of course, change as I take up my new responsibilities. It will no longer be possible for me to give so much of my time and energies to the charities and issues for which I care so deeply.
For the Queen, there were gun salutes, one round fired for each of the 96 years of her life. And at Westminster, parliamentarians set aside 10 hours for tributes to Her late Majesty.
She showed the world how to give, how to love, and how to serve.
Your Majesty.
Britain's new Prime Minister met the new King in their first in-person audience just days after Liz Truss spoke with the late Queen among Elizabeth's final duties. Outside the palace, well-wishers laid flowers and left messages in her memory.
I think you just felt safe. I think that's because she always knew what to do and she always knew how to conduct herself.
Oh, I just wrote goodbye, Mum.
It's been like this all day with big crowds pushing up against the gate, trying to get a picture, trying to get a glimpse, trying to feel like they were part of this moment.
She deserves so much respect and so many people loved her, and that's why we're here today.
After 70 years of service, the tributes are only beginning. Thomas Dagg, CBC News, London.
Canadians across the country are remembering Queen Elizabeth II. Many have gathered to pay their respects. CBC's Marina von Stackelberg reports from Ottawa.
Canadians line up to sign a book of condolences for Queen Elizabeth II outside Rideau Hall, the monarchy's official residence in Ottawa.
I've been crying all day, all yesterday. It's a very sad time for us all.
Many here share their memories of the Queen, some from when they were just children.
I remember the Queen getting crowned when I was 10, and now I'm almost 80.
In July 1959, a Mountie in a red serge lifted me up in Saskatoon so I could see Her Majesty.
And I can recall in the 1950s, my mum took me to see the movie of the Queen's coronation at the Capitol Theatre.
Across the country, more condolence books, signed by politicians and everyday Canadians.
She's a brave woman. She's an example of leadership, not only for we that are women, but for all the world.
Especially young people like us. Like, she's been around since our grandparents were younger and whatnot, right? Like, she's been there, she's experienced so much.
Bells in the Anglican Church, which the monarchy leads, rang out at noon local time across the world, 96 times for each year of the Queen's life. Her portrait in Canada's Senate, draped in a black cloth. Parliament Hill lit up blue in her honor. Governor General Mary Simon continued on with her work as the monarchy's representative in Canada.
We talked about whether to move forward with this ceremony today. In the end, we decided this was an important gathering. These decorations for bravery and the Canadian honour system as a whole are a legacy of Her Majesty.
These books of condolences are just the beginning of what will be 10 days of mourning in Canada. Plans are in the works for a national commemorative ceremony here in the nation's capital. It will include a parade, a gun salute, and a fly past from the Royal Canadian Air Force. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
Now, the Queen not only reigned over England, but also 54 countries in the Commonwealth, including Canada. For many people from the other countries where the Queen ruled, the Queen's death was a day worth marking. One Bangladeshi expat says Elizabeth's reign provided a sense of stability and continuity against turmoil and tumult elsewhere in the world.
You have to remember one thing. Every society or every country goes through changes, and every change is either painful or a struggle or kind of confusion. But people looks at something that is very stable and looks at the decision from that place, which ultimately brings in a kind of stability and kind of confidence. Then we are in a good hand.
Khwaja Latif says during her reign, the Queen visited Bangladesh twice, including a visit after the country declared independence from Pakistan. He says Bangladesh is marking 3 days of state mourning for the Queen. To some other news tonight, a Winnipeg mayoral candidate is promising to install more warning lights at school zones if he's elected. Kevin Klein says he'd spend $2.5 million over the next 4 years installing flashing yellow lights at all 400 school zones in the city. Right now, Winnipeg only has one set of these lights on Bedson Street in Westwood. Those lights were donated.
In the first 4 years, every school zone will have flashing amber lights so that there is less of an excuse to speed through those areas, so that you don't consider it just a cash grab. It's a safety grab at that point.
Klein is one of 15 people running for mayor of Winnipeg. The election is on October the 26th. The provincial government is asking for an unknown number of municipalities to be investigated. Details are sparse so far, but one audit could be related to cyber fraud. With more, CBC's Ian Fraze joins us live in the newsroom now. Ian, why could the Auditor General be getting involved here?
Well, the province has asked the Auditor General to investigate various municipalities. We don't know how many, and we don't know all of their names, except for one, the municipality of Westlake Gladstone. The province says this stems from citizen concerns related to governance, financial management, and oversight. Ultimately, it's still up to the Auditor General whether or not to investigate. But here is the Association of Manitoba Municipalities President Cam Blight saying we shouldn't prejudge any investigation.
We don't know exactly how many municipalities that are being investigated by the Auditor General. We don't even know the scope of all the concerns that are being brought forward and the validity of them all. We certainly do, support efforts and initiatives in consultation with our members that strengthen municipal governance.
The one municipality that we know that could be investigated, again, Westlake Gladstone, they've been trying to allay resident concerns over their chief administrative officer. Less than 2 years ago, the municipality faced a series of cyber attacks, leading to nearly $500,000 being stolen from the RM. More recently, the RM put out a news release calling for the end to slanderous accusations about their CAO, claiming that she may have played a role in that cyber attack.
Ian, you tried to speak with the Municipal Relations Minister about this audit, but your request was denied. Why was that?
Yeah, so the province is saying they have protocols in place. We have now about a 10-day period of mourning that's being observed by jurisdictions across the Commonwealth. Here in Manitoba, that means all events, announcements, and social media activities will be limited. The Premier was actually supposed to be in Brandon today for an announcement, but that was cancelled. Riley.
Thank you, Ian. CBC's Ian Fraze in our newsroom tonight. Manitobans eligible to get the new bivalent COVID-19 vaccine can begin booking appointments on Monday. Adults age 65 and older, Indigenous adults, adults with high-risk medical conditions are eligible, as are healthcare workers and residents of personal care homes. They are also eligible for that new bivalent vaccine. Appointments can be made beginning Monday at 9 a.m. through the online booking tool or by calling 1-844-626-8222. You can also contact your medical clinic or pharmacy directly. A back-to-school tradition is back at the University of Winnipeg.
Same boat weight, we'll see what happens. We're going on the classic left side approach. It's going to be a boost. We'll see what we can do.
That's the Duckworth Great Rock Climb. Teams of students climb as fast as they can up a giant rock at the U of W campus on Portage Avenue. The annual race has been going on since 1972 as part of fall orientation. Dave Crook is the university's director of athletics. He says it's good to see teams scrambling up that rock again in person.
During the COVID, we had a virtual rock climb that was put on by some students, and it's just a great event to start off the calendar, academic calendar for the university. So there they are.
Last year's virtual rock climb took the form of a video game that was created by a university graduate. As for this year's race, the Analysists team came in first place with a time around 38 seconds. All right, we're going to take you outside now. CBC weather specialist Fiona Odlum is with us, joining us from Manifest in downtown Winnipeg. Fiona, it looks busy there tonight.
It is an absolute perfect evening to come check out Manifest. The street here on Broadway is loaded with all sorts of food options. The weather is absolutely perfect, and Winnipeggers are absolutely taking advantage of this gorgeous night. Lots of big smiles, and right behind me is the hot attraction, the Manifest sign. That's the big Instagram moment. You got to get your picture taken there. But if you are planning to come out, let's take a look at our current forecast. Currently, we're sitting at 19 degrees here in Winnipeg, a mix of sun and cloud and a really nice light wind. Now, as we look towards this evening, we're going to be looking for a big full moon tonight, and we're going to be looking for our harvest moon. This is our last moon, full moon of the summer, full at 4:49 tomorrow morning. We're going to see moonrise at 8:09 p.m. tonight. Now, what we can look for is a little bit of rain overnight in towards the Churchill area, looking for a couple of millimeters, and through the southern portion of the province, we are going to be watching for a little bit of scattered showers. We're looking for really less than a millimeter of rain through anywhere as we're looking through, but we're also going to watch for this ridge of high pressure coming through. It's going to start clearing out the sky, and hiding behind that ridge of high pressure is a warm front. So the cooler temperatures we're seeing today and tomorrow, those are going to disappear by the time we get to Sunday. And that's when we're going to start seeing the heat returning. Here you can see our projected rainfall, really only about a confirmed millimeter of rain coming towards the Barrens River area. Watch for some potential light showers in towards Red Lake. The wind won't be a huge issue for us either. We're going to stay less than 40 kilometers per hour, which is going to be really great news. We're going to keep that consistent light wind throughout tomorrow, and that's going to be really key. So tonight, we're going to be watching for temperatures to be around 12 degrees at midnight. By 7 a.m., we're going to be at 9 degrees. By lunchtime, we're going to be looking for about 17 degrees and our daytime high of 20 degrees. Now, I hear there might be a football game tomorrow. That's pretty important. We're going to see 19 degrees at kickoff with that really nice light wind. Our long-range forecast shows that for Sunday, we're going to be sitting at 26, by Monday, 28, and then it cools off again on Tuesday.
Weather Update is brought to you by Home Equip, your trusted local source for Pride Mobility scooters. From sales to rental and repair, our team is here to serve you.
Well, as Manitobans prepare to vote for their local mayors, reeves, and councillors this fall, some areas are struggling to field a robust slate of candidates. In Brandon, there is still only one candidate for mayor. Here in Winnipeg, 4 wards have just one candidate running for city council so far. As candidates hesitate the run, the Association of Manitoba Municipalities is asking former leaders and those new to civic politics to step up. Dennis Volkov is the executive director of the Association of Manitoba Municipalities. I spoke with him yesterday. So first, I want to ask you, why should more Manitobans consider putting their names on the ballot for elections this fall?
Well, I think more Manitobans should consider running in this general municipal election because it's about exercising democracy, very important part of our system. It's also about making your communities better and actually being in positions where you can influence decision-making process and you can really improve lives in your communities.
Why do you think people might be hesitant to run for municipal office this time around?
I'm sure some people might be hesitant. There are different reasons in different elections. However, what we would like to bring attention to is why people should run in elections. And it's about improving your roads. It's about providing fresh drinking water. It's about ensuring that there are programs in your communities that residents can access. So we understand that there might be issues about running and hesitations and worries, but it's a very rewarding job after all.
Many politicians lately, especially women, have been subject to abuse and harassment. Is it particularly hard to recruit women to public office?
It's a really good question. We've at AMM have been trying to ensure that there are more women who run in elections. We've been tracking for the last 4 elections, and I'm pleased to report that there are more women that are running for office election after election. We had more women running for office in the last election, more women elected as heads of council, and we hope to see this trend continue in this election as well. And there is no doubt that women are facing challenges, and we've been trying to communicate and address some of them at events such as Women's Breakfast, for example, that we hosted at our last convention. We've had some educational and training seminars. We also participate on a national panel where we discuss how to ensure that more women run an election. So it is a challenge. However, we know that in Manitoba, the number of women has been going up in every election for the last 3 elections.
So we often talk about civic politics in parts of rural Manitoba, especially. Like, what sorts of change can one have if they run for municipal elections and get elected to their local government?
Well, I think it's the level of government closest to the people. So I think any elected official can make the biggest impact on their community. Like I mentioned before, municipal councils make decisions on improving conditions of roads, for example, or ensuring that there is clean drinking water, or ensuring that new development subdivisions are coming to their communities, that there is economic growth. And we see many communities in rural areas that are right now experiencing highest economic growth in Canada. So there are many opportunities to influence exciting development that is happening in your community by being a member of council. So it's a very rewarding job after all.
What's your pitch to people who might be interested in local politics but are hesitant about putting their name forward?
Well, I encourage everybody to seriously consider, because people come from different backgrounds. You don't need to come from a certain background to be a municipal official. Visit our website, www.amm.mb.ca. We created a dedicated municipal hub where we put all the information together for candidates to run. We have short videos that talk about roles of mayors, reeves, councillors, and all the background information. Make sure that you put your name forward by September 20th, because that's the deadline to register to run in this municipal election.
Denis Volkov, thank you for coming on the program tonight.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Coming up, the latest Statistics Canada report on employment shows that more than 40,000 jobs were lost across the country in August. We'll have local numbers and more on what that means after the break. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News. Well, some concerning news about the state of the Canadian economy today. Statistics Canada says Manitoba was among the 3 provinces that saw notable declines in employment last month. The province lost 10,000 jobs, the first significant decline since March. That pushed the unemployment rate up to 5.3% from 3.5% in July. Nationwide, more than 40,000 jobs were lost in August. Philippe de Montagny has the details.
Canada keeps losing ground on the jobs front, with 114,000 positions lost in the last 3 months, 40,000 in August alone. That's now pushing the jobless rate up for the first time in 7 months to 5.4%.
This is certainly earlier than we had anticipated, but is a sign that we may be headed for a recession.
With quickly rising interest rates and the resulting slowdown in real estate, many construction projects were paused or cancelled. There were 28,000 fewer jobs in that sector last month. But construction industry leaders expect more work to come and demand to bounce back.
We have to maintain our workforce and replace the baby boomer cohort that is really retiring now in big numbers.
Some experts say there's a real mismatch of jobs available and workers' skill sets.
It's difficult, right? Because there are people who are out of jobs right now, but construction workers can't magically go work in data analytics or tech or in healthcare.
While some areas show gains like professional services, in the public sector, employment was also down by about 28,000 jobs in August. In Ontario, unions largely blamed the government capping yearly wage increases at 1%, way below inflation.
We've seen an increase in nurses who are, going to work for agencies, and they're trying to get the best wage they can to support their daily living.
Overall, wages rose by 5.4% in August to just over $31 an hour on average. And while an impressive level of growth, it's still far from keeping up with the rising cost of living. Philippe de Montigny, CBC News, Toronto.
The Conservative Party's new leader will be announced tomorrow. There were questions about whether that event would go ahead as planned given the passing of Queen Elizabeth and the national period of mourning. But the Conservative event, the party says, will reflect that. 5 candidates are vying for the top job: Scott Aitchison, Roman Baber, Jean Charest, Leslyn Lewis, and Pierre Poilievre. CBC News will be there as the results come in. Join us for a live special with our chief political correspondent, Rosemary Barton and Vashi Kapelos. That all begins at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central on CBC News Network, CBC Television, and streaming on CBC Gem and on the CBC News app. After more than 2 years of working from home for many people, some are now resisting calls to return to the office. But as Nisha Patel reports, some employees could have leverage because of the tight labor market.
Since the pandemic, James Russworm's commute has been just down the hall.
I don't have to pay gas costs to drive downtown every day or parking costs. The mileage on my vehicle is a lot less.
So when the video game company he works for asked employees to report to the office 5 days a week, he and his coworkers formed a union to fight to keep their flexibility.
The benefits for working from home are really outweighing going into the office every day. And I think workers are finding that as well, that they're getting a lot better work-life balance out of it.
From tech giants to big banks, companies are again telling workers to spend less time at home.
80% of Canadians who work from home say they want their situation to stay that way at least half the time. So while employers are making a fresh push to get workers back to the office, employees may start pushing back.
Why do you need me to come back, right? I was working fine. Why? And micromanagers are like, I need to literally watch you.
Employers argue that working in the office improves collaboration. But white-collar workers have grown used to the perks of remote work, and research shows some workers are more productive at home. Still, this employment lawyer says the law is on the employer's side.
If your employer is recalling you back to work, you would be required to return to work. And if you didn't want to return to work, you would have the choice to resign.
But in this tight labor market, if offering hybrid schedules stops employees from quitting, she says employers may want to consider that compromise.
It's a lot harder to onboard and find good people versus retaining really good people that you have. So I think that employees definitely have leverage.
Back in Edmonton, Russworm's company relented, scrapping its return to the office plans.
We've sort of let the genie out of the bottle at this point, right? We've seen how effective workers can be working from home.
For those workers, at least, there's no going back. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
Students across the country are back in school, back with their friends and teachers in person. But for some in Saskatoon, it is a new year with a whole new type of school. CBC's Pratush Dayal explains.
We've not had any transmission of any illness within the school.
Catherine Stevenson is one of several parents of immunocompromised children that have started their own school. It's called Art Cooperative School, which stands for At Risk Together. Stevenson says it's Canada's first and only fully licensed childcare facility and preschool of its kind. Stevenson's son is medically fragile and often got sick at school. She says she didn't want to risk that anymore.
When COVID shut all the schools down, he stopped getting sick. And it really inspired me and some other parents to think about how to make a safer system.
At the Art Cooperative, the students have maintained their health. Stevenson says it's because the building uses filtration and carbon dioxide monitoring in every room to ensure ventilation. They also wear masks, get regular rapid tests, and
Super duper sanitize, rub them together.
use lots of sanitizer.
We also do a lot of programming outside. I'd say most schools aren't there.
It's like you're learning in a fun way.
Gabriel Wheeler loves his new school. His 3-year-old sister Elise has underlying health conditions. The family says every time Gabriel was in preschool and came down with a cough or sniffles, Elise would be hospitalized.
I would like to see regular schools think about accommodations for kids who have underlying health conditions. So I would like to see an investment in ventilation, proper ventilation.
Stevenson says she shares those concerns and says Art's eventual vision is to set up an entire school. Pratush Dayal, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Still ahead, we head back to Manifest in downtown Winnipeg and check in with CBC weather specialist Fiona Odlum. She'll have our look at the Manitoba forecast. Please stay with us. All right, weather specialist Fiona Odlum is back with our provincial forecast from Manifest in downtown Winnipeg. And, I'm not much of a betting man, Fiona, but I think maybe there's some mini donuts in our forecast.
Yes, Riley, it's right there. It's amazing. And just right behind Randall, our camera person, we've got barbecue. It smells so great here. Lots of big smiling faces and full tummies. So here we are, we're in the food truck war section. Just a little bit further down, we have the Wonder Show display. And in between there, we also have the 3x3 basketball. There's so many fun things to do here. There's the family zone. And of course, you have to check out the pup patio if you're going to be bringing your pooch here. Let's check out our current conditions around the province. Right now we're sitting at around 18 degrees. This is in the Eli area, 17 in Selkirk. As we take a look now through the rest of the province, we're seeing that temperatures are staying pretty consistent. Now what we're going to be watching for is for temperatures overnight to be dropping significantly. We're going to be watching for some frost advisories coming in, and that is going to be posing a big problem for folks through the Parkland area. So we're going to be watching for Dauphin, Winnipegosis, Minnedosa, Russell. Those areas are going to be watching for temperatures tonight into that freezing mark. Definitely start covering up your tomatoes. We have a little bit of rain that's going to start pushing through. This is going to be in the Churchill area, looking for about 4 millimeters of rain with this system. But if we look over towards British Columbia, we see this ridge of high pressure that's coming in. It's going to clear everything out, making sure that we have a really beautiful sunshiny sky for us as we look into the rest of the weekend, and with it, bringing a lot of really warm air. So what we're going to be looking for in terms of that rain is 4 millimeters into Churchill, 3 in Gillam, and 2 in towards Lynn Lake, even a possible millimeter all the way down to Island Lake. The wind is going to be a factor for Churchill. Wind gusts into the 50s and 60s are going to be a concern for us. And we're going to see that wind really does stick around all throughout the weekend, still flirting into the 40s. So that's going to be windy for us all throughout the weekend. So tonight, we're going to look for 7 degrees in Red Lake, 10 in Kenora. That's definitely getting us into that seasonal zone. 5 degrees in Steinbach, and a cloudy 8 degrees in Gimli. Don't forget that tonight we're going to be having that full harvest moon, so it might be obscured a little bit with all of the cloud cover that we're going to be seeing. This is all because of that low pressure system that came through. Cooler temperatures as we look towards the north, and as we look towards tomorrow, lots of sunshine coming, lots of wind into the Churchill area, and then moments of sunshine. This is all because of that ridge of high pressure that's going to be coming through, and that is going to really change the game. Speaking of the game, we're going to see 19 degrees at kickoff. That's at 4 o'clock tomorrow when the Winnipeg Blue Bombers take on the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Now, we know how that game turned out last week. We're certainly hoping that we have the same type of outcome tomorrow. Now, one thing to keep in mind for all my Aurora hunters out there, we do have a chance of some Aurora tonight. We have a KP rating of 5, Riley.
Thanks, Fiona. Britain's new monarch, Charles III, made his first address as king today. Charles said he shares the grief that many in Britain, the Commonwealth, and right across the world are feeling right now. He promised to commit himself to service just as the Queen did when she began her reign 70 years ago. But he spent most of his address paying tribute to his late mother. Here is some of his speech.
As the Queen herself did with such unswerving devotion, I too now solemnly pledge myself, throughout the remaining time God grants me, to uphold the constitutional principles at the heart of our nation. And wherever you may live in the United Kingdom, or in the realms and territories across the world, and whatever may be your background or beliefs, I shall endeavor to serve you with loyalty, respect, and love, as I have throughout my life. My life will, of course, change as I take up my new responsibilities. It will no longer be possible for me to give so much of my time and energies to the charities and issues for which I care so deeply. But I know this important work will go on in the trusted hands of others. This is also a time of change for my family. I count on the loving help of my darling wife, Camilla. In recognition of her own loyal public service since our marriage 17 years ago, she becomes my Queen Consort. I know she will bring to the demands of her new role the steadfast devotion to duty on which I have come to rely so much. As my heir, William now assumes the Scottish titles which have meant so much to me. He succeeds me as Duke of Cornwall and takes on the responsibilities for the Duchy of Cornwall, which I have undertaken for more than 5 decades. Today, I am proud to create him Prince of Wales, Tywysog Cymru, the country whose title I've been so greatly privileged to bear during so much of my life and duty. With Catherine beside him, our new Prince and Princess of Wales will, I know, continue to inspire and lead our national conversations, helping to bring the marginal to the centre ground, where vital help can be given. I want also to express my love for Harry and Meghan as they continue to build their lives overseas. In a little over a week's time, we will come together as a nation, as a Commonwealth, and indeed a global community, to lay my beloved mother to rest. In our sorrow, let us remember and draw strength from the light of her example. On behalf of all my family, I can only offer the most sincere and heartfelt thanks for your condolences and support. They mean more to me than I can ever possibly express. And to my darling Mama, as you begin your last great journey to join my dear late Papa, I want simply to say this: thank you. Thank you for your love and devotion to our family and to the family of nations you have served so diligently all these years. May flights of angels sing thee to thy rest.
Commonwealth countries are remembering the Queen. An Australian tribute is particularly striking. The Sydney Opera House lit up overnight with an image of Queen Elizabeth. It's projected on what they call the sails of the building. Across Australia, buildings turn purple in her honor, and they'll stay that way every night until her funeral. Tributes to the Queen are taking place in New Zealand as well. That country's army performed what's called the Death Gun Salute in the capital of Wellington. 96 rounds fired, one for each year of the Queen's life. And trainees with a New Zealand military program also showed their respect for the Queen, performing the traditional Maori haka dance at the country's war memorial.
But of course, you know, today we had this
concert in Toronto last night. Elton John said he was an inspiring presence in his life and praised the Queen for her unwavering leadership through good times and bad. Take a listen.
But of course, you know, today we had the saddest news about the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. And she was an inspiring presence to be around, and I've been around her, and she was fantastic. And she led the country through some of our greatest and darkest moments with grace, decency, and a genuine caring warmth. I'm, 75, she's been with me all my life, and I feel very sad that she won't be with me anymore. But I'm glad she's at peace, and I'm glad she's at rest, and she deserves it. She's worked bloody hard. I send my love to her family and her loved ones, and she will be missed, but her spirit lives on, and we celebrate her life tonight with music, okay?
Don't forget to subscribe to our CBC Manitoba YouTube page. You can find the latest headlines there. We're also now posting our full newscast there for you to watch as well. Catch up and stay connected anytime. We'll have more from Manifest after the break. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News. All right, we're going to go back to Manifest where we find Fiona Odlum tonight. We're talking about the mini donuts a bit earlier, Fiona. What else is on the go there? It looks really busy.
It is so busy here, Riley. It's just a really great event. So many people are back flooding downtown Winnipeg. And one of the people who is instrumental in making this day happen is Kate Fensky, and she is with Downtown Winnipeg Biz. Kate, how important was it to bring this event back?
It's so exciting to have. It feels like the downtown comeback right now. We haven't had Manifest since 2019. And over the weekend, we're expecting thousands of people from all corners of the city to come together, a chance to reconnect and explore some really new and exciting things we have this year at Manifest.
Okay. Listen, the food here is phenomenal. There's so many food trucks. It's so great, but there's a bunch of new things happening. Give me a little breakdown on what's new for 2022.
Yeah, we've got the usual stuff of live music and the food truck wars, as you mentioned, so that's really exciting time. But some new stuff, we've got 3-on-3 basketball tournament. We also have a pup patio that 300 Main, the tallest building in Winnipeg, is putting on, so you can bring your dogs down, have a cold beer in the space, let them run around, try some agility. And then some other fun stuff. There's wrestling, a drag show.
I mean, where can you get all of this stuff in one place but downtown Winnipeg?
And what do people know if they're coming down here? How much does it cost and parking and all that sort of stuff?
What's really important for us is when we're trying to gather people downtown, that it's accessible to everyone. So it's absolutely free. You just come in, no tickets are required. We're open 11 a.m. till midnight today and tomorrow, and then noon to 6, or 11 to 6 on Sunday. So lots going on, and there's something for everyone, no matter what your age or what you're looking for to do this weekend. And we just got so lucky with the weather. It's the fall reset we've been looking for downtown.
Yeah, and what have you been noticing, with the downtown Winnipeg Biz? What has the vibe and the change been like over the last couple of months?
It's been a really challenging time, but we did start seeing traffic pick up a little bit in the summer, but we're really seeing it now this fall. We're seeing workers. There was lots of workers here having lunch on a Friday, and that's something that's really important for us. It is about, when you're working in the office downtown, it's not just about working in the office. It's about going for a walk, checking out our farmers market, fitness in the park, and really special events like this, like Manifest.
Now, this has been one of the pinnacle events in the city of Winnipeg, and to have it coming back after Labor Day, everyone's here. What kind of what are you hearing from the people walking around?
Even hearing, I was here for lunch today and just listening to some of the workers going, I forgot what this was like. And I think that's what it was. We forgot what it was like this, to have events like this in our city. And so it's really exciting when you hear, I'm going to come back tomorrow and bring my family. So we just welcome everyone to come downtown, whether you're by bike, car, bus, you name it. It's really easy and accessible for everyone to join us. And again, free family fun.
So 3 days of events. It's going to be great weather. It's free. You have to pay for the food when you get here. But the entertainment is amazing. Now, if I can't make it this weekend, what other events do you have cooking for later on in the year?
Well, it hasn't been announced yet, but I will tell you.
Okay.
We always know Nuit Blanche kicks off September 24th, and what we're doing, we're working with a number of partners as part of our downtown recovery efforts for Culture Days. So there's going to be events at 6 different locations throughout downtown, October 1st to 8th, and we're working on some fun stuff for the holidays too.
There you have it. We got our first sneak peek for Nuit Blanche. This is fantastic. Kate Fensky with the Winnipeg Downtown Biz. Thank you for this amazing event, bringing it back and just, bringing that energy back to downtown.
We're so excited to have everyone here. Thanks, Fiona.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fiona. Still ahead, we'll go back to Manifest, where Fiona Odlum will have our 7-day forecast. Your daily lift also still ahead. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News.
Well, it's an absolutely perfect evening here at Manifest on Broadway. The streets are full of laughter and smiles and good food as well. So tonight we're going to be looking for temperatures cooling off to around 12 degrees at midnight. And if you're in the Dauphin region, do be advised there is a frost advisory for you, with temperatures dipping down to around freezing tonight. Well, let's take a look at our long-range forecast, where tomorrow we're going to be looking for a daytime high of 20 degrees, our overnight low of 4. At kickoff, we're looking for 19 degrees, lots of sunshine, and a nice light wind. The heat starts to return as we look towards Sunday, 26 degrees on Sunday, 28 on Monday, and then we're going to see the inevitable cool down as we look into the long-range forecast of next week, back into those 20s and 21 degrees with a small chance of rain. Riley?
Thanks, Fiona. And finally this evening, a story of an injured bald eagle that was brought to a wildlife care facility in PEI last October. The majestic bird was covered in blood and could barely stand. That's when a team of vets decided to perform an incredibly rare surgery to save it. Here's the rest of the story.
He came in October, the end of October, and it was, I remember it well, it was 9 o'clock at night, and got a call that an eagle was injured, and we think he was injured by a car, like a hit by car accident. And it was severely injured, so there was a lot of blood on the head, and we didn't really know all the things that were going on at the moment. So we provided some care, some pain medication. We took some radiographs and noticed that there was something going on with his spine. We had a CT done on his spine and noticed that one of his vertebrae was dislocated, and it was pressing on the spine. So he was paralyzed, and we were wondering, okay, what can we do in this case? Is this, this is something that you can just fix by having him in care. We decided as a team that we would try to explore surgery. And that would be groundbreaking surgery. And some research was done on this. Has this been done before on a bird? It's common in dogs, but not in birds. The spinal injury in itself was successful. It was the secondary injuries that caused some problems. After the surgery, he was actually already standing, but he was using his wings to get up. And that caused him some injuries, unfortunately. And we noticed that he had permanent changes in his carpal joint. So, both wings, and that means that he cannot be released. The next step is to look for a place where he can live, and ideally it will be in a center where they have a veterinarian on staff. It's so unique, it's a groundbreaking surgery, so it had to be written down in a report. As that comes out, I think more people in the medical world will be aware of this and that it can be done.
Great way to end the show, a great way to end what has been a really heavy week for many of us. Take care this weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.